So it's just after 5 o'clock in the morning. Wow, it's really still. What an amazing morning. Definitely worth getting out of bed early for. Look at that. And I'm dressed today in celebration and anticipation, you see, of the Sea Buckthorn berry. Bright yellow orange berries that will be growing later in the summer, early autumn along here, which I first discovered last summer, and they were amazing. They created a really special place along here that I came to very often, and first tasted by harvesting some and putting into a smoothie and making juice, and it was delicious, really delicious and nutritious. After discovering the Sea Buckthorn here, I really thought I would explore and find out a bit more about the plant, and it turns out, look, here they are, all the way along here. At the moment, no fruits, but all of these will be full of orange yellow berries. Like me. The scent of them will be in the air too, and these bushes along here will be like little temples of the sun, of sweetness. Sea buckthorn has a really long history of medicinal use, and it's had names which indicate this. It's been called the wonder plant, holy fruit, liquid gold and super berry, and there are lots of myths which talk about its healing abilities. Mostly originating in ancient Greece and Mongolia. There's legends that tell that the leaves of it were the favourite food of the mythical horse Pegasus, and eating the sea buckthorn leaves contributed to Pegasus' strength and power, magical abilities to fly. And another Greek legend talks about how after a war the soldiers' horses had been deserted and abandoned, left to die. The horses had found sea buckthorn to eat on, and because of that they'd grown healthy and strong again. So the sea buckthorn has a strong association with the horse, and the Latin for sea buckthorn is hippophi, which means shining horse. So in ancient Mongolia, people let their horses graze in the highlands where the sea buckthorn grew, so that their horses who were sick would get well again. There's ancient Mongolian medical texts which talk about boiling your enemies in oil, like peanut oil, and there's actually a note in the text which says not to use the sea buckthorn oil because the oil is so healing. There's the potential that it wouldn't kill your enemies. It would make them sick, possibly, but they would heal again. So the leaf can be used in a tea. And the plant is full of flavonoids, antioxidants, protein, vitamins, minerals, beta-carotene. It's caffeine free, and it can also help digestion and have anti-inflammatory properties too. So it's definitely a plant to be celebrating. It is stunning. It's now about 5:30. The sun is still a golden, beautiful light over the sea here. And the air is full of bird song, and all along here is the sea buckthorn. The myths and stories and legends, they're good stories to hear. I haven't verified any of it or checked the sources. Even before I went on the internet to find out more about the sea buckthorn, I was touched by these plants growing all along here. Just by their presence, just by being with them, spending time here. I felt instinctively the old names and the old stories, that this was a holy plant, that this was a healing plant, because I felt that healing even before I tasted it. Last summer, when I came down here, even without eating them, they became a very special place to come and sit, to just come and take sanctuary from the world for a little bit. Foraging in a sea buckthorn feels a bit like meditation in a temple.
Silent music and shimmering gold, the strangest feeling about to explode. I held my breath.
This has become a really special place. We first off came purely for the purpose of foraging the berries and going home, making juice and jam, digging out recipes. And that was really exciting. I just felt the call to come back. So we've been back each day and just sat here, maybe gathered a few more berries. And it's not in the middle of the countryside. It's right on the edge of the city, and there's planes in the sky. There's a busy road and the sound of cars. And we're right by a path where there's cyclists and joggers and dog walkers, so we're very close to the presence of other people. But under this tree, you can kind of get right inside it. It just feels like a bit of a refuge, a little secret sanctuary, just for a few minutes. And there's the sounds of the birds and the waves when the tide is high. It comes right up to the rocks that we're sitting on. And despite the spiny, thorny branches, it feels like a welcome here. If we enter carefully and mindfully, it just feels like saying, yeah, come in, stop a while, feel the holiness here. Yeah, we like it here, don't we, Pip? To enter into a buckthorn tree is to like entering a cave full of treasure. It's just stunning. It's just like gold flowing everywhere. Because the berries are quite fragile, and so as you're picking them they can be squashing and juicing down your fingers, some people suggest cutting off a whole branch of them and just taking that home, but I don't feel good about doing that. I prefer just leaving the tree intact with the insect homes and leaving the insects there to live, treating it as a delicacy, slowly individually taking the berries rather than a mass harvested product. The earwigs love living in between the berries, so as you're picking them, they'll be moving about because you'll probably be going into their living space. They bury themselves under the berries. When harvesting any fruit, I feel it's important that we just take what we need, that we know how much we're going to be using, and we don't just clear a bush, we take a few from each, so we don't deplete the natural food source that is here for the wildlife as well. I suppose that feels especially important with plants like the sea buckthorn that don't grow quite so abundantly as things like blackberry. They're a bit of a rarer find, and although they're native along the south and east coasts of the UK and they can be found in quite a few places, they're still fairly unusual as a foraging option. You have to be careful harvesting because they have these little really sharp spines on the branches hidden amongst the leaves, so you can't really see them very easily, but you feel them very sharply. I quite like when there are thorns and spikes on a plant because it demands respect from you when you're foraging, when you're taking from it. You kind of can't ignore that it has a defense system there and that you're kind of negotiating with that in your relationship with the plant as you harvest its gifts. You soon get a strong, sweet kind of smell on your fingers and around you from the juice as you're gathering them. They look almost like corn on the cob. It's definitely very sour to eat raw. It's okay, I mean it's possible, but I think it would definitely be a lot better mixed with some sweet apple juice. When we get the berries home, we need to pick out the ones that aren't spoiled and also look out for any little residents of the sea buckthorn tree that we might have brought home with us accidentally and relocate them. So to get the juice out, you can put it in the food processor, or you can just manually squeeze it with a spoon into a bowl. They kind of pop as you press them and the juice easily just pushes through, and that way you avoid the pips and the skin's just getting left in the sieve, and it's quite satisfying. Today I'm going to be making sea buckthorn berry jam. It's the first time I've done it. I've just taken a recipe off the internet, which I'm going to link in the description below. So I've just got these out of the freezer. I picked these last September. They've been in the freezer quite a while because it's now June, and they still smell really fresh. So I have 350 grams here, and I'm going to boil them up with half that amount of water. Doesn't seem like much water. So I brought the berries to the boil and I'm mashing them, and the juice popped out really fast and the liquid increased massively, so didn't need to worry about there not being enough water to start with. So that's boiled for 10 minutes and now I'm going to strain the juice. There's loads of juice in there still in the pulp, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time pushing that through the sieve. Obviously a jelly bag probably work better. So I've got 300 millilitres of juice here, and for every milliliter I'm going to add 1.5 grams of sugar. I'm just going to use regular brown sugar here because sea buckthorn berries are really high in pectin, so we don't need to use a special fruit jam pectin sugar. That was literally about less than 5 minutes and it's getting up to the jam level. I think that's ready. So the exciting bit, into my sterilised jars. How exciting is that? Sea buckthorn berry jam. I'm going to go off to work now, and when I get back I reckon that's going to be nicely set and I will open a jar. Back from work, got my toast ready. There we go. Oops. It is a little bit on the sloppy side, but actually it's spreading nicely. It could actually be a little bit sweeter. It is still quite of a tart taste. I like it. There's the sea buckthorn flavour strongly there. I think I would maybe put a little bit more sweetener. Maybe experiment with other types of sugars. Happy jam making. Happy sea buckthorn berry harvesting. Hail the sea buckthorn!